If you think a deal at Disney World is too good to be true, there's a high possibility that it is. We're going to debunk some common hotel scams and how you can avoid being the next victim. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. I am here to warn you about the dangers of booking a hotel both on Disney property and off Disney property. This is happening too much. Hotel scams can reach you whether you're safe inside the Disney bubble or not. So we're going to show you some of the most common legit scams while also throwing in some hotel situations that aren't scams but kind of feel that way sometimes. So you know about them and you know how to avoid them. Wondering where to crash in Disney World? Dive into our no-nonsense, no-scam guide to every single hotel, brought to you by the folks who've snoozed in every single one. That's us. Just scan the QR code you see on the screen now or head over to disneyfoodblog.com/hotels to pick up your free copy after this. Note that these things happen rarely, luckily, in Disney-owned hotels, but with the hundreds upon hundreds of hotels in the Disney World area, these are things you should at least be aware of. And I've noted a few of these below that our team has experienced personally. So these do happen in that Orlando bubble. Okay, we're going to start with the legit scams because these are the ones that are most dangerous for you. Don't let the wool get pulled over your eyes. These are seriously troubling and they can happen to anyone at any time. You need to know how to keep yourself and your bank account safe. So we're going to start out with the scam that is most well known, the pizza flyer scam. So pizza is great. Pizza would never break your heart, right? But people can break your heart, and people who promise you pizza and scam you out of it and your credit card numbers instead, that is heart-shattering. If you want to order pizza in Disney World, you may be tempted by a pizza flyer that's been shoved under your hotel room door. I know the promise of saucy, cheesy goodness is tempting, but don't fall for this one. Many of Disney's resorts have pizza pickup locations at their food courts or quick services, but if you notice a paper flyer slid under your door coaxing you to call a specific number or numbers for a pizza delivery service you've never heard of, more than likely this isn't promoting some mom and pop pizza place in the Orlando area. It's probably going to lead you to a scam attempting to steal your credit card number. Disney is actually putting notifications in their hotel rooms now, making sure you know that this scam is absolutely happening and that you need to be careful of it. Again, never give your personal info to a faceless voice over the phone whose credibility is yet to be proven one way or another. The best thing you can do when you come across one of these flyers is to just crumple it up and throw it away and never think about it again. The end. And then you can pick up pizza someplace else, either at a Disney restaurant or some other different pizza delivery service that you know is legit. Renting a room with zero safety net. So Disney World resorts feel like a scam in and of themselves sometimes just because they're so expensive, but those prices are legit. And the people who are trying to tell you that they can shed those prices down significantly are the people you want to be wary of. The most expensive rooms you're going to find in the Disney bubble are usually the Disney Vacation Club villas, those really, really big 3-bedroom situations. DVC members are part of Disney's Timeshare program, which is a whole other topic for another day. But what you need to know right now is that Disney Vacation Club members receive a yearly allotment of vacation points that they can use to purchase rooms for their upcoming stays. That's the bare bones of how this works, but that'll work for now. Unfortunately, DVC members don't always get the opportunity to use up their vacation points, and while they're more than welcome to bank them for later, vacation points can and will expire. And if they expire, that means these DVC members are essentially flushing a whole lot of money down the drain, which is why DVC members can choose to rent their points to a non-Disney Vacation Club member for a discounted cost, since non-DVC members are also allowed to book these villas too, just as an out-of-pocket expense. But if they can rent DVC points from a DVC member at a discounted cost, then they can stay in those bigger rooms for less money, right? And there's nothing wrong with a DVC member renting their points to a non-DVC member to try to make back a fraction of the money by selling that cheaper vacation stay. But where there can be issues is when you're renting points from the wrong person. Right now, I can go on eBay, I can search for DVC rentals, and I'm going to get a whole swarm of options for people who are renting their vacation points for a super sweet discounted price. 5 nights at Saratoga Springs for a little under $1,000. That's a really, really good sounding deal. But before you press the buy or bid button, consider this. This deal might be legit, but how do you know for sure? Anyone can post anything on eBay, and while a seller's ratings can help you determine whether they're legit or not, some of those internet scams can be really convincing. Usually, you'll start seeing those red flags pretty early on when a seller is asking you to pay for an item off-site, like through an app like Venmo or Cash App, or some other form of alternative payment that can't get to a refund post-transaction. And when you do a handshake deal or even a contract deal with some Joe Schmo renter online, whether it be from eBay or another site entirely, you don't have a safety net to fall back on. The bottom line is that that person could cancel your trip, they could change the dates, they can do whatever they want because they're booking it for you in their name. So it basically is still their reservation until you check in. So doing that without some sort of safety net is really scary. But at the same time, I understand the appeal of wanting to book a DVC room somewhere other than a Disney World website to avoid paying full price for a stay. I've done it myself. So instead of turning those discounts into a gamble, make them a guarantee. Use some sort of a Disney Vacation Club rental site that works with DVC owners and DVC renters to make sure the renting transactions there go as smoothly as possible. That middleman kind of functions as an escrow, making sure that neither party is going to go back on the deal and basically ensures it if that happens. Now, as you know, if you've watched these videos, we like David's DVC rentals for this. They do a really, really good job. I know them personally, and I know that there's tons and tons of good testimonials for them as well. But there are other DVC rental organizations out there. We always use David's. And then if anything does happen to go wrong on the members' end, your funds are still guaranteed through that company, which is why it's nice to have the middleman on your side. While renting through a reliable DVC rental site isn't a 100% flawless plan, you could be sacrificing a whole lot of planning flexibility that you'd receive by booking directly through Disney. This is still a solid route to choose if you're confident in the dates you want to travel and you're looking to potentially save hundreds, maybe even thousands on your next resort stay in a really big room without the possibility of being swindled by some rando online. Now, I know that was a lot of words, so to make it really, really short, you can rent DVC points from a DVC member. That's totally cool. It's totally legal, but you want to make sure that person is legit. You want to make sure that person is reliable, and you want to make sure you have a safety net to fall back on, some sort of insurance if they go back on the deal. That's where places like David's DVC rentals come in. Okay, next scam for ya. I've already warned you about the risk of renting a hotel room through one single person, but what about those third-party sites that are already well known for dropping down room prices? These are sites like Expedia or Kayak or Priceline, those kinds of sites. Are they to be trusted? For the most part, yes. The prices you're seeing for the hotel rooms that these sites are selling, whether they be for a Disney resort or not, are legit. But there are other areas of concern you need to consider when you don't book through Disney or really any hotel's website directly. Like I mentioned earlier, when talking about David's DVC rentals, you do sacrifice flexibility and freedom when you decide to book through a third-party site. Cancellation policies will be completely different than what Disney promises you. So if you need to cancel a trip due to weather or illness, Disney will not be able to refund you if you booked through a third party instead of through them. So if something goes awry, don't call Disney because they're not going to do anything for you. They're going to say call your third-party agent or whoever you booked through, and they have to deal with it to see if you can get a refund. So that's something to be concerned about, but it's not a scam. It's just one of those situations where you need to read the fine print and accept that you're getting a lower priced hotel at the risk of less flexibility and personal assistance. But some third-party sites can be sort of scammy. This is something that's been happening a lot recently, and it happens to me when I go and Google to find a specific hotel. There are third-party sites out there that disguise themselves into looking like they're a legit hotel website, even though they're not. So for instance, a timeshare company could create a URL that looks very eerily similar to that of an actual hotel. So you'll think you're booking directly with a hotel like Holiday Inn or Best Western or Hilton, only to find out later when you make it over to said hotel that your reservation is nowhere to be found, and you're still out hundreds of dollars. In the past, third-party sites have been called out for posing as a big-name hotel to trick guests into booking through them, but then canceling those hotel reservations at the last minute and leaving those folks blindsided when they show up to the hotel, with no record of a reservation to be found. So how can you protect yourself from those con artists? Step 1, be a doubter. Seriously, if the hotel deal you're being promised is going to be loads cheaper than what you've already been seeing on other websites, take off those rose-colored glasses and start digging. If you're not seeing positive ratings or any ratings at all for these types of discounted opportunities, then you might have just stumbled across one of the many internet scams out there. I'd suggest checking out sites like the Better Business Bureau, who do this type of investigating for you, just so you can see if these types of third-party sites are authentic or not. Step 2, be a detective. Just through context clues, you can tell if a website is legit or not. Check the website's URL. While it might say the hotel's name in the link, if it doesn't have a secure HTTPS connection, then you're probably in sketchy territory. Also, just check the website's overall look. Frequently, grammatical errors and strange design choices could be the result of a website that's just been slapped together for a quick money grab. What's scary, though, is that a lot of these websites outrank the official websites of some of those hotels. So don't always choose the first Google result. It may be some scammer who's sponsored their way to the top of that Google board instead of the one you actually want to look at. Okay, the next hotel scam you gotta watch out for, which this was new to me. I didn't know this was happening, so glad I did this research. The hotel scams don't just happen before your trip, they can happen during your trip too. Every once in a while, you might get a jolting call in the middle of the night from someone who claims to be from the front desk of the hotel you're staying at, who needs your credit card information because there seems to be a problem with your account. So never, ever give out your credit card information over the hotel phone. This seems obvious, but in the middle of the night and you don't know, and you just want to go back to sleep and they need your credit card and you just give it to them because you don't think through. So whether it be on a voicemail before you arrive or on a note next to your hotel room phone, Disney will always tell you themselves to never give out your personal information over the phone because they're never going to ask for it. The same thing goes for non-Disney hotels too, so stay vigilant. If you really are concerned that there's something wrong with your card information, head down to the lobby yourself to clear the air and your conscience. And the next legit scam, of course, 2 words, timeshare spiels. I know some of y'all out there have done something similar yourself. You sit through a timeshare presentation for hours, never really planning on buying anything just because of the promise of the discounted or free hotel rooms and tickets waiting for you at the end. And some of these timeshare presentations are totally cool. They follow through with that, but many others just turn into one big nightmare scenario that ruins the should-be magic of your trip. Some timeshares can start showing their true colors right from the get-go by pressuring you to make a deposit or pay for certain taxes or prize fees in order to receive your free vacation, eventually. So one of our team members actually had this happen. She and her husband went to a comic book convention where there was a booth saying you could enter to win a Disney vacation. Being the young and impressionable college kids they were, they signed up for it, not realizing the company attached to the contest was, surprise, a timeshare company. So they won the contest. Shock, but suddenly they were asked to make a really hefty deposit to claim the prize. They were then assured that if they made the deposit, the rest would be refunded after they attended their timeshare presentation once they were in the Orlando area. And they did it. They gave them the deposit because they trusted this company since they had made a physical appearance at the convention. After they realized the mistake, they called the timeshare company pronto. And this is one of those rare scenarios where they actually did get their money back because they told the company that they were broke college kids who never actually were going to buy a timeshare from them. But that is a rarity. It rarely happens. So don't expect to kind of extricate yourself from the situation every time. By the way, she's promised me that they are older and wiser now. Anyway, some timeshare pitches seem to follow you even after the presentation is over by continuing to contact you over and over and over again for years to come. Like your college alumni association asking you to give money to the university you're still deep in debt for. And if they're really pushy, these timeshares may even turn the tables on you, threatening that you need to pay them back for this free vacation they gave you all those years ago, or else they'll pursue legal action. So just go to any Vacation Florida Disney blog site and read all the horror stories that guests have posted concerning their timeshare trauma. Lots of people go into these situations with their eyes wide open, knowing they're going to be asked to make hefty purchases at the end of the day, and they're still blindsided by how ruthless this experience can become. Some folks get shuffled into an interrogation-like room to be pressured into buying now. And some timeshares even branch off to try to sell you different stuff just to make a quick buck out of you. Well, there are several people online who will tell you they did the whole timeshare thing and thought the grueling 3 to 4 hours and low-key bullying was worth the free stuff in the end. More often than not, it can be a little too much of a gamble that'll waste your time and quite possibly your money. Okay, Okay, now that we've got those legit scams out of the way, again, they don't happen all the time. They don't usually happen inside the Disney bubble, but there are so many hotels around Orlando that it absolutely happens at those sometimes. Anyway, next let's talk about the not so wonderful world of Disney hotel concerns that aren't scams, but sometimes they feel that way. First up is that specific wording for hotel discounts. So a Disney discount isn't a scam, especially one that's directly featured on the Disney website through the special offers, deals, and discounts page. That being said, sometimes you might feel scammed if you plan a specific trip timeline to fit the niche guidelines of a certain Disney marketing promotion. And then you realize that you could have planned your trip for however long you really wanted it to be and still have gotten the savings. So for example, Disney's going to be like, you have to have a 4-day, 4-night trip to get this discount. And that's going to be the big print that they have. And so you book a 4-day, 4-night, even though you wanted a 6-day, 6-night, or a 7-day, 6-night, or you wanted a 2-day, 1-night. They're not going to tell you can do that. They're going to maximize their marketing for a sweet spot, which is a trip length that they think the majority of people are willing to book and the most days that they think people will actually buy. So before you apply whatever discount you come across on the Disney website, don't forget to read the fine print, because what Disney's clearly marketing as, say, a 4-night, 5-day deal might actually be a deal you can apply towards a longer or shorter trip as well. Also, double check to see if that discount being featured on the website is actually going to end up saving you money. Sometimes promotions are highlighted for vacation bundles or packages only, which include both tickets and the hotel stay for one price. But if you were planning on doing something like splitting the cost of an Airbnb with your buds and paying for the tickets separately, then that bundled price may not save you nearly as much as just splitting a $150 per night house with 4 of your closest friends. The deals might also require you to have a non-discounted part of the deal. For example, a free Disney dining plan discount requires that you have a full price hotel. Sometimes in a deluxe hotel, you can get a cheaper overall package price if you have a significant deluxe hotel discount and pay for the dining plan out of pocket. So there's definitely some math that needs to be done there. Get out your napkin and do the research to figure out the logistics yourself. But I've found that more often than not, the obvious cheaper option tends to make itself known one way or another in the fine print. Next, let's talk housekeeping. So housekeeping is not skipping you. It just works differently depending on what type of Disney hotel you're staying at. This is a new thing they've brought in the past few years. Those staying at Disney World's value and moderate resorts will have access to housekeeping every other day, while those at deluxe resorts will have it every day. Meanwhile, if you book your stay using Disney Vacation Club points, you also won't get daily service. You'll receive service every other day unless you're staying longer than 8 days, and you also won't get a full cleaning except for every 4 days. Don't want any housekeeping whatsoever during your stay? You can always opt out of it if you want to. Just let a cast member at the check-in desk know at any point throughout your stay that you're okay with housekeeping passing you by, or just put that room occupied sign on your door. Easy enough, right? Keep in mind though that opting out of housekeeping doesn't affect only your room, but all the rooms on your reservation. So just be sure the rest of your group is cool with that decision before you make the call. Also, you no longer get money for opting out of housekeeping. Remember before COVID when you could opt out of housekeeping and get a gift card for that? Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. Now you're just taking that L for no benefit. Now, the next one is heartbreaking, but happens all the time. But don't worry, we're going to fix it for you. Picture this. You book a hotel room. You get your kids all hyped up about the pool at the hotel. You arrive, swimsuit at the ready to float the day away, when suddenly you come across those 4 dreaded words. Pardon our pixie dust. Sometimes the promise of a nicely themed Disney pool is enough to rope you into paying hundreds on a Disney hotel room. So if you do drop that dough, only to find out when you arrive that the pool you were looking forward to is undergoing routine maintenance and won't be available during your whole visit, you might feel like your money was wasted on an empty promise. But here's the thing. Disney doesn't try to blindside you with these closures. On the main page of each Disney hotel featured on the website, you'll be able to track down closure notices in bright orange lettering. These notices will let you know exactly which pools are going to be down for the count, so you can book a different hotel room at a different resort if you need to. For 2024, the pool closures that are happening are the Cozy Cone Pool at Art of Animation Resort, Fuentes del Morro Pool at Caribbean Beach Resort, and Doubloon Lagoon Pool at Port Orleans Resort, French Quarter. While there are other pools you can go to at both Art of Animation and Caribbean Beach, the Fuentes del Moro pool closure really is a kick in the pants because it's by far and away the coolest pool at this moderate resort. Meanwhile, French Quarter may not have any other pools at that resort, but you can walk over to Port Orleans Riverside to use their pool. But it's not as short a walk as you want it to be to go over there and use the pool for the day. And it's going to be harder to get back to your room. It's going to be like when you book a vacation house that's like 3 blocks away from the beach so that it's cheaper. And then you have to walk all the way to the beach and walk all the way back. And it becomes kind of a hassle by the end of the week. Yeah, that's going to be the situation with French Quarter. I personally would not book French Quarter if you're looking for a cool pool until that pool is back in action. And of course, in 2025, brace yourself because the biggest pool closure is going to be happening over at Yacht and Beach Club. So a major reason why people love staying at Yacht and Beach Club is strictly for Stormalong Bay. It's a huge mini resort water park with a lazy river, 230-foot long water slide, 3 acres of water attractions. But between January and May 2025, Stormalong's going to be closing for maintenance. And that's great because we don't want the Disney pools to not be taken care of, but it just stinks if these closures happen to fall right when your trip is and you don't know about it. But good news, since we're telling you about this right now, you don't have to be blindsided by it. Just be sure to stay up to date with Disney's closures on their website. Join our newsletter because we'll tell you everything that's closing and when, and we'll remind you that it's closing, and we'll tell you when it's closed, and we'll tell you when it's reopening. So you don't have to worry about it. We got you covered if you join our newsletter. Next on our list of things that can feel kind of scammy if you don't know about them is more construction and less theming. This goes hand in hand with the pool closures point. When you book a Disney World resort, you expect to be transported. I mean, one of the key reasons you're paying all that money to stay on Disney property in the first place is because you're promised immersion. Whether that be a tropical getaway, a classy Victorian stay, a colorful animated realm with oversized props, whatever. So nothing pulls you out of that immersive atmosphere faster than a bunch of construction. Again, much like the pools, I'm glad Disney takes the time to spruce up these resorts so that they don't fall into disarray. Currently, we're getting lots of exciting updates at lots of resorts like the new Cake Bake Shop restaurant at Boardwalk Inn, a new DVC Villa building for Polynesian Village, refurbished cabins at Fort Wilderness. But construction work means construction sounds during the day and tons of scaffolding kind of blocking your view, potentially giant diggers right outside of your window. It also means torn apart walkways, giant construction walls, detours around the resort so it just doesn't look or feel the way it should. And that's when you're going to start to wonder why on earth you spent hundreds of dollars on a hotel that currently looks like a hot mess. Again, you can always check a resort's construction updates on each hotel's main page via the Disney World website. All the construction notices are going to be listed toward the top of the page to let you know what you need to be aware of before you book your room. But remember, you don't know the extent of that construction. So it could say, oh, this hotel will be under construction, and you can convince yourself it'll be fine. We won't see it. It won't be something that affect our day, but it very well might. So unless the hotel that you're wanting to stay at that's under construction is like your dream hotel and this is the only time you can stay there, it might make sense to choose a different one for that trip. And again, you don't have to do all the extra work of going to look at the website if you don't want to, because we do send out that newsletter. We've got all those construction updates for you there too. By the way, if you want to join that newsletter, we always have the link for it down in the description. So let's talk hidden resort fees. When you pay for a resort or hotel someplace other than Disney, even if it's at one of Disney's Good Neighbor hotels, pay attention to the details of what you're actually being charged for. Look at that small print, because it's not always just going to be the room itself or the amount of money that they told you the room would cost. Many resorts have this thing called a resort fee, which charges you for services you may not even use during your stay. While the resort fees may not be straight up with you about what they cover specifically, it's usually going to be things like gym privileges, concierge services in the lobby, other extra convenient amenities, which aren't as free to use as you might originally think. You can't opt out of resort fees even if you don't plan on hanging out at your resort very often during your trip. They're still going to be added to your bill no matter what, and they typically range between $25 and $30 per night. So the moral here, while I wouldn't avoid a non-Disney hotel just because of those sneaky resort fees, I'd definitely be on the lookout for them so you can factor that into your trip's budget ahead of time. Same thing with parking. If you're going to drive and park at a hotel, most hotels do charge you for parking these days. So that's another thing that they're not necessarily going to package into the price you're seeing online when you book, but it is absolutely there in the small print that you're going to have to pay for it if you're parking a car there. Now, of course, you're more than welcome to ask about any hidden resort fees before finalizing your reservation, and the hotel you're considering should absolutely let you know straight up what other expenses you need to be on the lookout for. All right, let's talk about that dreaded credit card hold. When you book a room at a Disney resort, they may put a $100 hold on your credit card on top of what you already owe for the room, along with any other outstanding expenses. When you don't know what that $100 hold is at first, your stomach might sink when you see it. But this $100 hold isn't Disney swindling you out of more money, though it may seem that way. It's for incidental expenses. Basically, anything you buy and charge to your room, like room service or Wi-Fi or any other charges you haven't already paid ahead of time, could be taken out of that $100 hold. So don't panic when you see this triple-digit fee. Think of it more like a deposit that you put down on an event space. And if you don't charge anything to your room, you'll get that $100 refunded back after your stay. But you have to make sure you know that's going to happen, or else it can kind of freak you out. Now, hopefully you're well equipped to see the hotel scam warning signs before having to deal with them face to face like we have. Now, you can get back to your resort research without that extra weight of stress on your shoulders, and you definitely know what to be prepared for. Remember, if you want our free Disney Resort Hotel Guide, make sure to head to disneyfoodblog.com/hotels and we can send it to your email right away. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.